Fantastic. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. We are going to open our special board meeting. We have only a few items on the agenda. One is the approval of minutes from the January 17th. I'm wrong. My apologies. Thank you. I have my one is the personnel report is the first item. We'll entertain motions.
I move the personnel report for adoption, approval.
A second.
Moved by Pat, seconded by Chris. Questions, conversations, discussion?
I only had one question. There was one administrative position that the salary was not listed for when I looked at a draft of this. Has that been filled in, or is there some reason why we're not allowed to know the salary of that person?
It was just a change to the probationary period. It was my understanding. So the salary was listed when board approved on the 24th.
Okay, so this was a change in
the probationary period. Yeah.
okay,
Changing the
There
dates
was
of the
a-
probationary period.
got it. All right, thank you.
Other questions, discussions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Passes unanimously for the folks who are present. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the recommendation of our student placements.
I'll move item 3.1, recommendation for student placements from subcommittee on special education.
Second.
Nope.
Moved by Moira, seconded by Pat. Discussion, questions?
Question,
Yeah.
it'll be a quick one and we can pick it up at some other point in time, but I understand that we have some sort of data czar here in the district, and I think we need to be looking at some numbers on special ed where how many people are classified as what over time, how many are we more or less people getting special ed services now that we have fewer people in the district overall. I mean, we don't have any sense of trends, and I have a lot of history on this.
Sure.
And I would like to know, I'd like to see some numbers at some
Absolutely.
point, so I can bring that up again, but I'm just mentioning it now because I'm thinking about it.
Yep, and I'll make sure that I say it so we can say it as well. We'll put it in the minutes. That we do have a number of data czars, but one in particular, and the newest version of the equity report card is currently available. And we can track that with other editions of the equity report card. So we have data available to us, but we'll work with Lynn and see if Lynn will come do a presentation for those of us who were there this summer or last summer doing the code of conduct. Lynn did an excellent job of providing data on a host of identities for our student population. And so what I would recommend is that it's not exclusively about special education, but about things that we should be paying attention to in general. It's time for us to have a presentation about the equity report
Great, and
card.
maybe either before or after that, we could have some questions that we would like to see answered by that data.
Yep. So Trisha, I'll work with you about how best to capture that in our minutes, so we don't lose it and it's there. We'll make
Thanks,
sure
Laura.
we put it on a future agenda.
And it's all accessible online to the
Yeah.
equity report card. And the
And we'll get that link out to everybody,
Okay.
or I'll get it out later tonight. Additional questions, comments? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion again is voted unanimously for those who are present. And then lastly, we have on our agenda item 4.1, which is our German international trip. For new board members who may have had this conversation before, the board instituted a process and a procedure that we would like to have a conversation before we approve any international travel. We've been doing this probably for about 4 or 5 years now, maybe even longer. But the idea is we would invite folks to come have a conversation with us so we knew about what we're approving before we say, hey, take high school students out of the country. So this is where we find ourselves. Lily, you want to add anything since you were the expert here?
Sure, I am far from the expert. Pat is probably more of an expert because her child to both children went on the on the trip itself, but the educators and the students who are involved in this are really excited about it and need to start planning and purchasing things in order to secure the lowest prices possible. So I am presenting in their stead for David and Catherine, who have graciously signed up to do this. Yeah, Pat.
If I could just say, because I know so much about the trip and because my pizza is waiting for me, I'm just going to let people ask questions. I personally wholeheartedly support this trip. And we are not voting on it now, so.
We are voting
Are
on
we?
it this evening. That's why it's on the agenda, right, to give approval, so if they
Yep.
are doing
Yes.
planning.
I'm not sure if is there a resolution attached to it, but there should be.
There's just, it has a discussion. Yeah, I can amend it.
It can't be a simple change. We would have to entertain. Procedurally, we'd have to entertain a motion to change it to a voting item. And then put a motion on the floor.
But yeah, we just stated that this has been a policy that it has to be brought to the board beforehand, and this is the first time I'm seeing this.
Right, so what happened is that the folks who are here and we have conversation before we vote. So it's not as if we don't have much advance notice in terms of the dialogue.
Well, so then it's a accurate discussion item, so we're discussing, but we can be voting tonight too.
Well, right, so that's my point about procedurally, if it says a discussion item. My unfortunate recommendation really would be that this would be on the agenda, the 28th, as a voting item. Because we did not give prior 24-hour notice to change it.
Mhm.
And I realize that would have an impact on the planning.
Well,
But it would be,
Preparation for tickets and everything like that.
Well,
Is anybody in a time crunch about this that we know of?
Yeah, kids and children. Yeah, like to have as much.
They'd like to know, but it's not like tomorrow they can't get a plane ticket or something.
They have to spend money until you all approve.
so. Board members, how would you like to proceed? We understand that there is some time sensitive notions. We all understand it was on the agenda as a discussion item. Lily, I would assume it would not ideal, but it could be on for the 28th. Is that the want of the board?
Yes.
Any additional discussion this evening about this trip? Hearing none immediately, we will put it on for the 28th as a voting item. You have the one-hander here from one page from Lily. We can read and we can send questions to the Lily. I presume probably the best place for any questions we can have,
Yes, that's great.
and we'll anticipate approving unless we have more specific questions on the 28th, or at least entertaining a motion to approve. Better way of saying. Does that work for my board colleagues?
Yes.
Fantastic. Then with that, that is completion of our agenda. I will bring them, yes.
May I ask why why we didn't also move forward the teacher retirement voting item from Tuesday?
For a couple of reasons. One, we felt when we were debating about having a quorum on Tuesday, we did not feel having that conversation with 5 board members would have been appropriate. And again, today, we weren't sure how many board members we would have present. We would like to have as many board members present to vote on something that is that specific. And that's large of a change. It would also provide us with enough time to have additional conversations now that the resolution is publicly available. So that was the only idea behind it. My understanding as well, more than me, that it's not a significant immediate time crunch, even though we are trying to move forward, and the language even
Well,
indicated that.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to do it as quickly as possible, right? So, And I would hope that the groundwork that's necessary to make it happen, if the resolution passes, is being done now, meaning, preparing the documents, all of the information that we want people to have prior to making their choice. So I hope I'm looking at Amanda, but Bob's not here.
Might as well look at it.
Well, it's already been helpful that we've been getting questions that we've been able to forward to Bob and to Christina at ENV as well. So the more questions folks have, the more we can forward them, the better they can be. I do want to make note that that specific agenda item for Tuesday should have been listed. I want to make sure I'm looking here as a discussion item and not a voting item as well. So we would have, though it's not, we'll clear that up. It will be listed as an action item on the 28th. That is the expectation.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, with that, I will bring the meeting to a close and I will wish folks